Today is Tuesday, June 22nd, and this is Headers and Footers, the brand new UEFA Euro 2020 show from the Toronto Star. I'm your host, Brendan Dunlop. D-Day in Group D. England and the Czech Republic locked horns knowing that they were already through to the next round, regardless of what happened at Wembley. England fans were so worried that there might be another shit show. The Czech wonder striker actually didn't leave his mark on this match. But for the first time at these Euros, England captain Harry Kane did. The want-away Spurs forward played his best half at a major tournament in an England shirt, in my opinion. England win the group for just the third time at the Euros. They did so at home at Euro 96. They did so at Euro 2012, if you remember. Raheem Sterling on the score sheet again, his 14th goal in 19 games for England, enough to secure the Three Lions a 1-0 victory over the Czech Republic and to fully justify his starting place in Gareth Southgate's starting 11. Every single time Raheem Sterling scores for England, they win. Croatia love breaking British hearts, don't they? First, it was England at the World Cup in the semifinals in 2018, and now Scotland feel that pain and so much agony after so much joy at Hampden Park. Scotland eliminated in the group stage in all 11 trips to the World Cup or the European Championships. You gotta feel for the Tartan Army, no matter where you are on that side. And you gotta feel for David Marshall. I mean, I sure do. Beaten by another world-class goal after being the hero to get Scotland to the Euros, to be on the receiving end of two highlight reel goals that will be replayed for decades every time the Euros come around again. Or David Marshall. But I mean, Luka Modric. We were wrong to write Croatia off. Modric showed that he still got it, and so do Croatia, as they finished second in Group D, having scored just one more goal than the Czechs. So England win the group, which means they get to stay at Wembley, and they await the second-place team from Group F as the Group of Death wraps up on Wednesday. Very happy to be joined by someone who I've not spoken to on air since my days at theScore. Dan Rouse from theScore and the Newspapers on Seats podcast. Thanks for coming on Headers and Footers to talk about your beloved England, buddy.
Pleasure to be on. And yeah, we're definitely a little bit older and a bit uglier since those days.
Well, how about England's play? Was this uglier? Because, I mean, that start with the attack and the changes that Gareth Southgate finally made, not the changes many England fans were calling for in the likes of Jadon Sancho, but Saka getting the start, Jack Grealish getting a start. And I thought from the get-go up until Sterling scored in the 26th minute, in which case England just sat back and waited for the game to be taken to them, because I think that they were kind of looking for the draw themselves, to be honest. For those first 26 minutes, the first half an hour, I thought England's attack looked really sharp.
Yeah, and it's funny how you say that with like an element of surprise in your voice as well, just because we got, Mr. Cautious Gareth Southgate there. It did start really well, didn't it? I mean, Saka was a surprise. I think a lot of people were surprised to see him in, but he is probably the most entertaining player to watch in the Premier League.
Hey, Jack Grealish, buddy.
He definitely both in my Premier League entertaining 11, but I think it's the sheer contrast between how entertaining Saka is and how absolutely dire the rest of the Arsenal team is. So maybe that kind of helps his case a little bit there. But I thought Saka was fantastic in this game. Just very, very positive with the ball, charging down that right flank, and there was just an awful lot of fluidity in England's attack as well. And I think it kind of worked as well because the Czechs were pushing a bit further forward. They were pressing a little bit more. You had an extra ball playing centre back in Harry Maguire there. So, England could release the ball a little bit quicker from the back, and you had more willing runners up there, and it worked really, really well. But, as Southgate tends to do, the attack's on fire and he doused those flames at half time. It was a very different game in the second half, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. But I mean, let's talk about the first half, because I think that's the best sample size here. It was the best first half from Harry Kane. Talk about ground that he covered. There was quite a few times he was launching passes from just a few meters, standing in front of the England center backs, looking for Saka on the right side or looking for Grealish. That's more of a role we've seen him evolve into at Tottenham, playing more of a number 10. And with Grealish and Saka on either side and Sterling involved as well, I thought that there was a confidence that Harry Kane had to cover more ground, to be a bit more creative and involved. And having him more involved is exactly what England needed, and it did result in a goal.
Yeah, there's one or two times where I still thought Kane looks a little bit sluggish, and he's like, he is saying that he's fit and stuff, but he still doesn't look top notch to me. And it's no surprise because I think Mourinho ran him to the ground before he got sacked at Spurs. But yeah, there were glimpses of Kane being back to his old self. Definitely, he had one shot where he could have scored, but Vasily put a strong hand, a strong save on that one. But we should, England should play to their strengths. And what Kane's turned into is this kind of like, a bit more of a Francesco Totti type of striker, somebody, who drops deeper and kind of creates a little bit more. And, we haven't really seen that for England in the past, but today there were glimpses of it. It needs to kind of like get going a little bit because it's knockout stages now. It's going to get pretty serious, pretty damn quick. But yeah, there were glimpses. It's getting there. I'd rather have somebody like Ollie Watkins as his deputy if it doesn't work out for Kane. I think he, like Kane, can bring this, fantastic, array of attacking talent into play a lot better than Dominic Calvert-Lewin can. But yeah, let's see how it goes. But glimpses from Kane this time, glimpses.
Well, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, is a finisher and gets the highlight reel goals, whereas Ollie Watkins has scored a few highlight reel goals himself for Aston Villa this season. But it's just such a hard worker. I think ran the most miles on Aston Villa, and I think may have finished as having played the most minutes for Villa as well. So I was pulling for him. Tyrone Mings, Aston Villa centre back, had started the first 2 games, but Harry Maguire comes in to partner John Stones. That's their first choice pairing. You comfortable with that in the knockout stages?
Yeah, I think so. You won't like this, but I'm certainly more comfortable with those two over Tyrone Mings. I do like Mings. I think he's a good personality in the dressing room. I think that's why he's almost an automatic pick in the Southgate squad. But I think with Maguire and Stones, you've got 2 lads who are comfortable with the ball at the feet. Stones is much improved over the last year, kind of becoming the player that I think everybody thought he would be. And then and Harry Maguire, I mean, we'll see if he's really, really ready for this because he's been out injured for quite a while. Another player who I was kind of a bit annoyed that wasn't in the squad was Tomori. I would have liked to see him in the squad after a really good season with AC Milan. I think he would have been a little bit more suited to the way that England plays. But I think as a back to Maguire and Stones, they've got to be up there with one of the, among the top 3 or 4, central defensive partnerships of the tournament, I think.
I would really like to have seen Tomori in the Canadian national team set up. Another missed opportunity, but understood that the opportunity in England came calling, and good on him for getting it. But yeah, not being in the squad, I think a surprise to some people, certainly fans of the Serie A. Fans of the Bundesliga, regardless of their national allegiances, know how good Jadon Sancho can be. I thought he was going to get some time today. And when the numbers went up, when Sterling and Grealish's number came up to be substituted out, and in came Rashford and Bellingham, I thought that was a great opportunity to see Sancho. Is it possible that Southgate doesn't trust him?
Is it possible that Southgate hasn't got many sports channels on his TV package? Because I don't think he's watching the Bundesliga at all, is he? And same in note with my Tomori point, is he watching Serie A to see how good that lad's playing? And, I just feel that Jadon Sancho would be starting for the very best countries of this tournament. He's had, I think, under 150 appearances for Dortmund, but scored around 50 goals and got around 64 assists. I mean, that's an incredible output. He's so exciting, and Saka will get a lot of praise for his performance in today's game, and rightly so, but he shouldn't really be starting above Sancho. I mean, if you go in the later rounds, you want that little bit more experience, a little bit more big game experience. I think you're going to want to turn to Sancho over Saka. Sancho plays Champions League, gets in deep every single season. Saka hasn't been there. So I think Southgate is a little bit daft to be given a player, as I said, who could walk into the starting lineups on many, many sides of this tournament, just giving him a few charitable minutes at the end of the game. It's not good enough, really. We need to see more of Sancho. He's a real, real talent.
And Southgate just not helping his own cause. You can tell he's annoyed by all the media questions and the backlash and the England fans' reaction. So tie them over a little bit. I mean, it took him 3 games to do that with Jack Grealish, but I think he was rewarded with quality play, and going forward, he can see how impactful Grealish can be. Having watched as much Aston Villa football over the last few seasons as I have, and seeing him be the most fouled player in the Premier League, you can see that the Czechs watch enough film from that to make that happen. But I think going forward, we'll see who they get in the next round. England have yet to play to their best, but as tournaments go, you don't want to start with your best. You do play up to it. So I think that there's still some potential for England. I really thought there was potential for Scotland today at Hampden Park. I mean, the atmosphere was incredible. That draw against England felt like a real win. We knew that the winner between Croatia and Scotland would go through, but just like in years past, heartbreak for the Scots. And I mean, Croatia just love to break British hearts, don't they? England at the World Cup and now Scotland here at the Euros.
And they just know how to switch it on, don't they? Because, the opening game against England and then the one against the Czechs, I kind of thought to myself, Scotland can get at these. They just don't look that good at all. But then, the big names switch it on. The Luka Modric goal, in the build-up, he did a little pass out to the flank with the outside of his boot. And then soon after that, he just strikes an absolute beauty the outside of his boot as well into the far corner. And it was just a beautiful goal. And Ivan Perisic as well. I mean, he's just a real big tournament player in major tournaments since 2014. He scored 9 goals in 14 appearances. He just seems to always bring it. And, I know they're looking a little bit, frayed around the edges of this Croatia team now, but they're still quality. And sadly, it showed against the Scots because I think, we all enjoy a bit of this, Scottish grit, and John McGinn's a lovely player to watch as well. So it's a shame that the tournament's over after just 3 games.
Scotland have a few really good players. I think Shea Adams is going to get a lot of talk in the transfer market, and a few other players as well. It's not just Andy Robertson and Tierney and McGinn's team. So great for the Scottish fans to have that match against England and to have a couple of matches at the Euros, and hopefully they can take the momentum into future tournaments, and maybe we'll see them in Qatar. What do you think we're going to see from the big powers in Group F tomorrow?
It's going to be chaos, isn't it? It's going to be an awful lot of fun. I actually put some money down on Portugal to come first in this group. So I was absolutely kind of flabbergasted by what went on against Germany. I did not see that coming at all. But I think Hungary will give Germany a tough game. There's a lot of Hungarians in that team who play in the Bundesliga who know what it's like to play against these lads week in, week out. There's so much Bayern Munich players in this German team. So I think that could be close, but I think Germany will scrape through there. They'll all get through. Let's be honest here. The Euro format is so giving, so rewarding. You can finish third with in a league system, which would be relegation form. You can still get through. So we'll all see them in the later rounds of the tournament, whatever happens.
Well, thanks for coming on Headers and Footers to break down England's big day.
Thank you. Lovely to be on.
Dan Rouse, one of the many loyal members of the Man City Supporters Club of Toronto. Can't wait to get back out to Opera Bob's on Dundas one Saturday, eventually. Wednesday, the final day of the group stage. Group E will come to an end first, so I'll start there. Spain didn't expect to be under this much pressure heading into their final game against Slovakia. I can tell you that. After 2 draws, Spain need to win to make sure they have a place in the last 16. Sweden, not exciting to watch, but Sweden are through. They'll top Group E if they beat Poland. If Poland win, they're through. And if Poland win and Spain and Slovakia draw, then that means Sweden, Slovakia, and Poland would finish 1, 2, 3. Could you imagine how that would go over? Crisis time in Seville for La Roja on Wednesday. And then Group F, where, as we expected, still everything to play for on match day 3. It all comes down to the final day in the group stage for a rematch of the 2016 final. Maybe the most anticipated match of this group stage, Portugal against France again. The Portuguese will feel all the pressure in this group heading into the final day. They need a win over the defending world champions, the biggest favorites at Euro 2020. The Portuguese need a win to guarantee an automatic spot in the last 16. They could potentially still get through as a third place team, which you don't need any reminding they were at Euro 2016. A 1-0 loss to France would see them finish third and still get through. But we got to see how the other results shake out. And who wants to gamble on chance? It will be nail-biting time for Portuguese supporters. Much like it was for England fans who waited all day to look at Gareth Southgate's 11. That's how Portuguese fans will be spending the day before they see who Fernando Santos has rolled out against France. Maybe he'll go with 3 defensive midfielders. Who knows with Santos? France will win the group with a win over Portugal. That we know. As long as they don't lose to France, Portugal would advance. I mentioned the 1-0 scoreline. Hungary no longer have the luxury of playing in Budapest. It was very much their advantage in those first 2 games. The Hungarians will travel to Munich to take on Germany, who know that all they need to do at the Allianz is not lose. Seems simple enough. Hungary would finish third if they beat Germany and the other match ends in a draw. There's a lot of scenarios, so let's just go with a certainty. When the group stage ends, as you have every match night, you know where to come. right here, Headers and Footers. You're going to watch me every match night on YouTube or download and listen wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for kicking it with me.